Hello, everyone. This is Harrison from the SOIS committee. Sorry that we're taking up your time, but we're just going to ask everyone to wait just a little bit longer so we can see who else is joining. And if you know anyone else from any other student organizations, please also let them know that the town hall is taking place right now.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming tonight to this town hall. I want to begin by introducing myself. I'm Ricky Castaneda. I'm currently the media senator for SGA. I'm also the chair of the SOIS committee. I want to give everyone else in the SOIS committee an opportunity to introduce themselves. Um, anyone?
Hi everyone, I'm Kevin Titus. I am a student affairs senator and I'm also in the SOS committee. Um, I'm also here to represent CJ Club as treasurer, funny enough, so I can also do that. But yeah, thanks everyone for coming.
Hey everyone, I'm Harrison Chu. Hope everyone and all of your loved ones are staying safe and well. I'm currently serving as a senator at large, and I'm also a member of the SOIS committee.
All right, Tunanzi. So yeah, that's fine. Who else do we have in the SOS committee? Will's not here. Okay. I also want to recognize Dylan Terpstra. He's currently the chief of staff and he's present at the meeting today. He's also, I believe, are you representing here for RSJP, Dylan?
No, I'm just sitting in, supporting the SOIS committee. Thanks for shouting me out.
Cool. Okay. And as well, I also want to recognize Dean Pandit. Dean Pandit is also on the call tonight, who will help us assist in any of the questions that we may have or answers that we might have to provide tonight. And I also see Dean Williams as well. She is also here tonight. And again, thank you everyone for coming. Um, as you see on the screen, we have an agenda set up for tonight. We are going to start by going talking about COVID-19. So I guess Harrison, I guess I would like you to, you know, speak more about like what resources we may have and all sorts of stuff.
I'm listening to something in the background.
Yeah, definitely. So just to start off, I hope everyone and all of your families are well. Thank you for taking the time to meet with us. I know everyone's schedules are very chaotic and very busy right now. I'm sure that Dean Williams or Dean Panda can speak more to this. But at the very least, Rutgers is providing resources at coronavirus.rutgers.edu. They have like some notes and also digital learning and connectivity resources. I've also compiled some of my own at bit.ly/COVID-19 wellness. I just want to address the situation. I know the majority of us are likely at home, and student life is difficult, and it definitely has changed. And the SOIS committee has been meeting with administrators and talking with people just to try and ensure that we can come to the best solution for all the student orgs on campus and also enact everything in an equitable fashion. Thank you again, Dean Williams, for posting that. I do want to bring up the care team, and we'll go back to this point later on in the meeting. But the care team has been working very hard to address all of the incoming requests from students. So if you or peer is in need, 等一下, excuse me, if you or peer is in need, we highly encourage you to reach out to the care team. And the SJ has also established an emergency fund, which has been used as a source of need-based aid for students as well.
Thanks, Harrison, for that. We also, if you have not checked our Instagram bio, we have a link to our link tree, and it has all sorts of links to any issue regards to COVID-19, like the one that Dean Williams provided about financial resources, as well as any questions that you may have in regards to refunds. All of that is linked there, as well as any video that we may have of our SGA meetings that we have. We also live stream our SGA meetings, which that's another opportunity for students to bring up your concerns. This isn't the only time that you can bring up your concerns. And during this town hall, every Monday from 11:30 to 12:50, we hold SGA meetings. So I guess, I don't know if Dean Williams, do you have anything else you want to add in regards to anything COVID-19 related?
I would just, well, first and foremost, thank you, Ricky, thank you, Harrison, and all the rest of the SGA. I think they've, you all have done a great job on helping to support the student community, setting up the emergency fund, which right now I will say has been depleted. However, there are other resources that we can certainly try to provide for students who are in need, and kind of thinking through what's available external to the university and also for the long term. But I do appreciate it. And then just wanting to say, I hope everyone's well and taking care of yourself during this very challenging time.
Thank you, Dean Williams. So I'm glad you brought up the emergency relief fund, because it is, as Dean Williams mentioned, it's something that the SGA has established a few weeks ago, because we saw that there's a need in our campus, with everyone out of a job or not being able to have a stable income, especially for students who are on our campus. We want to provide some type of relief for them. So we decided to establish this account, and we started with a pretty big chunk of money, but it has been depleted recently. It has been depleted quite a few times, actually. And so we really are looking for student organizations to with the remaining funds that you may have on your accounts, to contribute. And before we go more into detail about that, I also want to kind of explain a little bit that we kind of already stated on the email that we sent out to everyone. But I guess also, just so everyone can understand, how we came to this decision of like anything that, any activity that we plan to do for fall 2020 in regards to student life. And so, as soon as like in-person instruction ended on campus, and our campus being closed for the remainder of the semester, we see that it's obvious that we can't tier organizations based on what they've done this semester, because the semester was abruptly ended, and we don't think it's equitable and just to tier orgs based on what they've done, because some orgs may rely on doing all their events towards the end of the semester instead of doing them in the beginning of the semester. And so we thought that the best approach to go about this is to give tiers to organizations based on what you were given for this semester, for fall 2020. This is also assuming that we have in-class instruction in fall 2020. But so far, as of right now, fall 2020, for your student organizations, your tiered will be based on what you have gotten for this semester. So so the monies that you get from this semester will be the same that you will get for fall 2020. Now, for the remaining funds that you have currently, if you depleted all your funds this semester, this wouldn't really necessarily apply to you. But for everyone who still has their money in their accounts for this semester, and the way it works, this works regardless if we're in the situation or not, is that any money that you have left over on your accounts would roll over into allocations. Now, if you do not know what allocations is like where money that has not been used from prior semesters and prior academic years go into this fund from previous student fees, so that you, as an organization, are able to request these funds for like an event that you may have, and you think you might need some supplemental financial resources to make that event possible, you as an organization are eligible to request funds from this allocation, excuse me. And so, yeah, so that's how it would usually be done. And it's still going to be done that way for this semester. However, a lot of orgs had some questions, and some people may have brought up that they are interested in spending their financial resources for supplies or like new banners or new promotional materials that they may need to use for next semester and prepare for next semester. And that's all really, those are no-brainers. Like those are, of course, like you would use your funds to make sure that student life is great as ever for next semester and for future years. But as far as we know, any type of purchases, like any type of purchase request that you may request, they have to be essential. And so banners, supplies, all of that do not fall under that category of essential. They're considered non-essential, so these purchases wouldn't necessarily would not go through. And so that only leaves two options for student organizations. You can either leave, not touch your money, let your unused funds sit, and at the end of the semester, once they clear the books and stuff from accounting, the money that was left unused would go to the allocations fund, and that's it. Or you also have the opportunity to make a purchase request to not a purchase request. You can transfer your funds. It can be some, it can be all of it. You can send your funds to the emergency relief fund, and it's very simple. It's all you have to do is you would do it for any type of request or transfers that you would do as if like this was a co-sponsorship or something like that. And so contact your advisors that you're interested. Contact us as well so that we have an idea of like what to anticipate, how much funding we're anticipating from your club, because it's very essential for students, especially those that are in need, to receive this financial help as soon as possible. And right now, our emergency fund is depleted, so it's at zero. So we have no money in the emergency fund. The senators in SGA has already depleted their funds, as well as I think $50K was given from the SGA fund alone. So the SGA fund that's separate from the Senate fund. So SGA has already put a lot of money into it. I believe, Dylan, I don't know if you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the SGA is still planning to give one more lump sum before we are, kind of depleted. Am I right about that? Okay. I guess I'll get back with Dylan later. But basically, the SGA has been replenishing these funds constantly, and the money has been also constantly has been depleted. And so we really are asking for your help as student organization leaders to come together and send this money to students who are really in need. Because once the semester ends and like we reach the deadline for purchase request or anything or any of that sorts, the money would just go back to allocations and we would not be able to touch that money. So this whole so to make these decisions to transfer your funds is time sensitive. We are let's say, I think Dean Panda, do you know by any chance how long we have until organizations are no longer eligible to touch their funds, or like transfers or anything like that?
Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Hold on. Can you repeat the question, Ricky? You
Sure.
said how long do folks have, organizations have to transfer the funds?
Yes. Yeah. When is the cutoff date before student
I
organizations?
mean, so May 4th is the last day to submit any purchase request, any reimbursements that you may have. But if we are talking about this decision and if folks need a little extra time, we can extend that for a week if that works. So May 11th.
So should we rely on the May 11th date, or should we stick to May 4th so that?
I mean, because it's internal transfers, I think it should be fine. The sooner the better, right? I think given the current situation, the need is now, right? So I think that will also help assess what the future is and what kind of funds we are working with. So I think you can go with the May 4th deadline, but that also might be too soon. Like today's Friday, right? We're talking about Monday over here. So I don't know if we need to give folks an extension. I don't know if you want to say May 8th, perhaps. Does that sound reasonable? That's our internal deadline, right? So we could, normally it's been a week after classes end. That's when we kind of try to wrap everything up when it comes to course. Also, there are exams and all these other things happening. So we want to make sure students take care of that, of this before they get busy with finals and things. So I'm comfortable with saying May 8th, if that gives you a week from today.
Okay, that's that. I mean, hopefully that would work with everyone. Because yeah, like it's pretty time. It is pretty time sensitive. Hopefully a week is enough to give all the treasurers of every organization to send those purchase requests.
I mean, an email, when was the last email sent out? It was what, a week ago, right?
Yeah, that is correct. It was sent out last Wednesday.
So, and we also talked about it during Emerging Leaders Institute. So this is not information they're hearing for the first time, right?
I don't hope not.
So I know, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but I also don't want to, like, once we get into the finals time, it's hard to kind of hear from students. So if you all want, you can send another reminder to people that these are your options and folks need to make a decision and let us know by May 8th. And we can, as advisors, can also keep, sort of conveying that message.
Now, have you received any like contact from any organizations that have any or they reach out to you that they want to help or like they want to send funds?
Yeah, I want to say some of the pre-professional organizations have already talked to Janique, who's their advisor. That's something that I know of. I mean, we can do a quick check-in with all the organizations this coming week just to get a sense of where they're at and what they want to do with their funds. So I can ask all the advisors to sort of reach out to, because a lot of them are now doing like, outreach in terms of just reaching out to their cell phones and things like that. So if you send another message, we can definitely convey the message, and I can look into the existing purchase requests on RadarLink to see the status of, like I would see a transfer there, if anything. I don't know. I'll have to, like, what were the instructions that you all had given? Like, would it be something that they would have to convey to their advisor?
Yeah, so in the form we talked and mentioned that to give an estimate of how much they want to donate in the form, but also to reach out to their advisor. We only had about no more than 20 responses the last time I checked. So if your organization has not responded yet, please fill that out. And the SIS committee will get back to you, Dean Pandit, with like a message. And like hopefully that'll be passed on through the advisors to every single student org.
Yeah, I'm not seeing as many purchase requests. Maybe they're just reaching out to their advisors. I can check with the team and also get back to you. But for folks who are here, I feel like if everyone can sort of pass on that message to your organizations, and other student leaders that you know of who are in student organization e-boards, who are on the e-board. So I think that will also help because we have some folks here who can help with the messaging.
And if you could also talk to your e-boards as soon as possible, to like let your advisors know and file that transfer request. We would really appreciate it, especially since the emergency fund is depleted and we know that students are experiencing this need. We really recommend that student organizations talk with their e-board and hopefully contribute to this fund.
Yes. So I'm looking right now at the student organization questionnaire, which I hope everyone here, thank you everyone here who has completed it. And I noticed something, pretty good question in regards to fundraising money and when will they be getting their reimbursements. Dean Panda, do you know by any chance if there are any, reimbursements that was probably done prior to us leaving campus? Like, are there still any pending by any chance that you may know of? That was a question that.
I mean, reimbursements are being processed from what I understand. Maybe Dean Williams can share a little more information because she approves it in Marketplace. But as far as I know, Tasvia has been, approving reimbursements as they're coming along. So it should, if there is a specific question about a particular reimbursements, I think a reimbursement, they should reach out to Student Life Accounting or Student Life email. Student Life Accounting at newark.rutgers.edu is the email address. I can put it in the chat. But I think because I don't want to generalize by saying all reimbursements have been processed. Some might require additional paperwork. Like, I don't know the status of it. So I think the best scenario is to reach out to Student Life Accounting via their email. And that email goes to Melissa and Tasvia, as well as Dean Williams. So I think it will be best if folks can email there. I'll put the email address in the chat window.
Okay. And also with fundraising, people that have organizations that have money with F accounts, that money does not go anywhere, right? That always just stays.
No, that money is going to stay in their F account. Absolutely. That is fundraise money. It's not student fee fund money, so it does not get rollback.
Perfect. And for the reimbursements, okay, I can't see which org asked that question, but as soon as the call ends, I'll see which org reached out to us about that question, and we'll like copy them into an email so that they can get that addressed. I mean, are advisors still accepting volunteer hours? I think that was a question that someone brought up.
Yes, I mean, if hours were if they were spring hours, there's no reason why we wouldn't accept them. They would just have to be submitted through Radalink. Submit service hours with the submit service hours option. I mean, I'm not sure how many students are doing service or community engagement work right now. So if it fits the criteria under service hours, we will be accepting and approving them.
Okay.
So I won't bring.
It's not gonna have an effect on the fall tiering, but yes, we would love to make sure we have a way of recording all the service hours that students are putting in.
Gotcha. And I also noticed just one more thing, and then Harrison, you can go ahead. I'm sorry for cutting you off. But a probationary organization is worried that because they only receive probationary funds, that they're not sure if that fund would be enough for them to succeed. I guess for lack of a better term, for fall 2020. Now, I just want to be sure. So for I think we all agreed as an SOIS committee that for fall 2020, all probation organizations who have succeeded in their exit interviews, they will be getting Tier 4 funding. Is that correct?
Yes. I'm sorry. That's a question for you. Sorry.
No, that's okay. No, I actually wanted to ask, how did the interviews go? Like, what
So far, we've interviewed, I want to say, 5 organizations, and 2 more are supposed to be scheduled soon. They all generally went well, and we could talk about them separately if
Definitely.
you'd like. But overall, I think the messaging that we've given them is the only option, because that did come up in an exit interview. So for organizations who are in the process of getting recognized for the fall semester, we've basically informed them that that money unfortunately cannot be, will have to get rolled back. They will get a separate funding for the fall semester, and they're going to have to be creative with the way they spend it. That because again, I don't want to create a special, situations or special circumstances. Because of the special circumstances, I don't want to give them extra privileges. But again, I don't know how the SOIS committee feels. I didn't know that was an option. So I had told them, since that is what's happening with all the organizations across the board, they would have to, the funding that's in their account, that would have to be rolled back.
Oh, so wait, so are you saying that like the probationary funding that they got, they're not able to,
They
they're not able
they
to send
can
those funds?
either put it towards the emergency fund or have it get rolled into the allocations budget. That's what I meant. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Those
No,
are the
that's
two
okay.
options that we presented to them. I also told them that there would be, there is a mechanism in place where they can ask for additional funding through the allocations board. Like, that is something that will be open to them as a recognized organization. And they can also collaborate with other organizations if the funding is not sufficient. So those are options that we've given them.
Okay, perfect. And also, just one note on allocations board, if anyone's having any questions about that. So allocations board, the current amount that there is in allocations board hasn't changed much this semester, because there was only one organization that put a request for allocations board. So if you're thinking about, I guess, saving some money for allocations board, not a problem. That totally makes sense. Financially, to keep the allocations board funds healthy. But as of right now, it's at a healthy amount where, like, any additional funds is, I mean, it's good, but, like, we just think, us as an SGA, we just think we would prefer if you can donate your funds to the emergency fund. And so, and what also another note on that emergency fund, the emergency fund that has been established, it's not established. It's not a temporary thing. So it's not going to be a fund that we're going to have that's just for COVID-19 specifically. But we also saw a need for this emergency fund in general for any other emergency that we may anticipate, beyond COVID-19. So, so this fund specifically is set up to help out students who are in financial need. Giving in another scenario where there's another worldwide crisis. So, I'm sorry, Harrison. I felt like you did had something to say earlier, but you can go ahead.
Oh no, this is actually a perfect transition. Thank you, Ricky, for describing that in more detail. I want to talk a little bit about tiering for fall 2020 semester. So among all the questions, in the questionnaire that we sent out, all the questions did discuss the fact that SOIS committee is considering basing the fall 2020 tiering based on the tiers that all the organizations received for the spring 2020 semester. So that means you would be the same tier that you got for spring 2020, with the exception of probationary orgs, which would start out at tier 4. And just to explain some of the rationale behind this, I know Ricky touched upon this already. I know some people were worried about filing their volunteer hours or something like that. But the SOIS committee, after consulting with advisors and administrators, felt as though there was not an equitable way in which we could account for volunteer hours or events, because some students at home are not able to engage in the same fashion that they would be able to at school. So that is the current thought process moving forward into the fall 2020 semester. And if Ricky or any other members of the SOIS committee want to add anything about tiering, please do so.
At least for me, I mean, it's just like Harrison says, pretty much clear cut. The tier you got this semester is going to be the same tier you get for fall 2020, minus the probationary orgs, in which they'll get tier 4. So there's nothing will change. There won't be there won't. I mean, actually, I don't know. I actually don't want to say that out loud. So I don't want to say that we will allow a what do you call it, an appeals process. But I don't believe we most likely will not do that, only because there's really nothing to appeal if we're not including the events that were any events or money you might have collected, or anything that was done in spring semester. We won't add necessarily. You can't use that to appeal for a better tier next semester, because we're not basing off these tiers based on spring. We're based off what you got in a fall semester. So I think that's the only thing I have to add. I mean, unless anyone else has anything else to add from the SOIS committee, at least.
If not, then I'd like to open it up for questions from any of the student org representatives who might be participating.
Hello.
Hello, we hear you.
Yeah, I am Davin Ramden. I'm the president of Indian Student Association. I had a question. Do we know if campus is going to open up fall or not? Because I've heard that OSL say that it might stay closed till October, and I just wanted to know.
That's a really good question. I don't think us as a committee can answer it. I don't know if Dean Williams or Dean Panic can answer that, but on our end, we can't. We don't have an answer for that. We don't have a say as an SGA.
My computer froze and I didn't actually hear anything. So if you could just summarize what the question is.
Yes, I wanted to know if campus would be open in September, or would it stay closed till October, as OSL has been rumoring.
So at this time, we do not know what the status of operating will be for the future. I think the hope is definitely to have us back in the fall. So, but I think it would be wise, as you know, we are planning activities and events to plan with, maybe a hybrid between, remote learning or remote activities and in-person activities. And for the in-person activities, certainly thinking about social distancing, because that is going to be a significant factor for us to return for the fall semester. But at this time, there is no definitive date or even time frame. But as soon as that becomes available, students and people in the community will be made aware.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any other questions from anyone else? Okay, so I guess seeing none, does anyone else in the SOIS committee have any last remarks, or Dean Pandon or Dean Williams before, I don't know, I guess we close it off?
I just want to reiterate, thank you so much for coming, everyone. Thank you for taking the time. I know schedules and finals are all very wild right now. So thank you for taking the time to attend this town hall. And if there are any further questions, please send an email to the Student Affairs Senator's email. So
Hey,
thank you. Very,
sorry, Harrison. Did you want to say something?
no, go ahead, Kevin.
I just wanted to thank everyone for attending this meeting. I think it's, very important, that we share our thoughts and we share what we plan to do. And I'm glad everyone could, in these busy times with their busy schedules, find the time to make it and attend this town hall. So thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, just to piggyback off that, thank you everyone for coming. Really appreciate y'all for, taking the time and, just be connected and staying updated with everything in regards to student life and the SOIS process and what's to come for fall 2020. If you know someone that hasn't been able to, wasn't able to attend today's town hall, this was actually live streamed on YouTube. So as soon as we end the call, it will be uploaded, and we will share with everyone the link to the YouTube so that they can rewatch and be informed about what went on today at the town hall. We also want to remind everyone that SGA meetings are Mondays 11:30 a.m. to 12:50 p.m. We live stream on YouTube. We are working on trying to live stream on other platforms that might be easier, like Instagram. We haven't figured that out yet, but hopefully we see you soon. Thank you again, everyone. I don't know if Dean Williams or Dean Panic have any last remarks, but yeah, thank you everyone again. We're really grateful, and stay safe. And yes, for those observing, Ramadan Mubarak to everyone. Stay safe.